Thank you guys so much for coming. To this weekly session that we've been doing. Our Wednesday craft cocktails. Sorry about that. I might have had something, but I'm going now. So I was saying, hopefully you guys have your sketch in front of you, something you want to work on. We're going to be doing pen and ink and ink-based markers for our Inktober theme. I'm going to just get started. I'm going to get right into it. If you guys saw my supply list on my channel this week, you'll know that we're using some micron pens, and we got some Copic sketch markers, gray tone. I got my erasers, but we're gonna be working in a black and white, like a grayscale thing tonight. I think it's gonna look really cool, especially with our Halloween thing we got going on. I like seeing you guys in the chat. Thank you for participating and sending me your comments. I really love reading them while I'm working. I'm glad to see you guys are looking forward to this like I am. So it's awesome. It's awesome to read. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into it. I did my sketch ahead of time. I kind of cleaned up the lines. Now I'm just gonna go for it. I don't have a super set pan, but I do know I'm gonna start. I'm gonna go lights to. I always think that's a good system. So when in doubt, light to dark, because you can always darken things up. You can always add shadows. You can always add shadows, but it's hard to go back and get those highlights. I'm just using my range of grays. I'm starting with the lightest one, and I'm going in and, I'm going to see what looks good, and if I want to go back and darken something up after, I have the option to do that. Yes, thank you for that reminder, an important reminder. What's the drink? Guys, this week it is hot. Boozy Spiced Cider. And I had a video up on my channel of how I made it. It's homemade, you can use apple juice, but I didn't have apple juice or cider in my house, so I just made it from fresh apples, and it tastes amazing. And I got it in my fun skeleton hand glass, keeping up with the Halloween theme. So you know how I feel about Halloween. So I don't know if if you saw it already, but I kind of threw in all the Halloween goodness in this picture. We got a jack-o'-lantern, we got the black cat, she's got her witchy hat on, some skeleton makeup, all the good things about Halloween. So maybe you guys tried the cider, or maybe you're sipping on something else. Let me know. I always want to know what you guys are doing right alongside with me. Let me know what you guys are working on. If you're doing pen and ink, if you're keeping it gray tones, if you're working on something else altogether, let me know. This is a time to create together. Anything you do is good. As long as we're making time for ourselves to do something creative. Yes, you heard right. It's a Boozy Spiced Apple Cider. That's really good. Nice and hot. Pretending it's breezy outside when it's not. I'm over here in Florida. Alright, pen and paper sketching, that's good. Definitely show me afterwards. Send me a message and show me what you did. I'd love to see how things turn out at the end. I get some pictures, and I always love to see what people's take on what we're doing is, how it comes out at the end. So you can see I did some of my lights. And now I'm slowly progressing through the grayscale, and I'm getting a little bit darker, and I'm going up one shade, filling in, and just, slowly seeing what looks good and building on it. like that. Doing this is like a personal, kind of personal magic. That's cool, but I think we all have that magic. I think everyone's got that creative thing going. It's just how it comes out. Pineapple juice and rum, that sounds good too. Hey Allison, like seeing you guys come in, join in on the chat, always keeps it fun for me. Let me know what you're working on. Like I said, I don't really have a set method. I'm just kind of going in and seeing what I think looks good. Light to dark, getting all the surfaces filled in, and then going back and kind of fleshing it out with the darker colors, the darker grays. Remember, you can always go darker. You can't line it up so easily, so. No beard, it's supposed to be a skeleton. But yours can have a beard. You can make it however you want. And it doesn't have to be, you know, it doesn't have to be fancy supplies is the truth. You can get a range of markers or different kinds of pens. I mean, even at the grocery store. Don't let something like that be a deterrent for work, you know, making time to work on something fun and creative during the week. You don't have to go and make a whole supply run. Just, you know, use what you got or use what's right by you. Okay, pencil and paper, that's good too. Let me tell you, a lot of the shading that I'm going to be doing applies just directly to the sketching. So even if you're just sketching with pencil and paper, you can kind of see what I'm doing with the highlights and the shadows and apply it to your picture. What I really love about this is how much it comes together at the end. I'm just kind of filling it in, but at the end when you really put those high contrast highlights and shadows. It just pops. It totally transforms it. So I'm going to go in and start filling in the hair. I might have started a little too dark, but the truth is, you can always use a different medium, a little acrylic or something, or that white jelly pen that I was talking about in my other video, to try and kind of just go back and add a few highlights if I need. This is the fun part. Sketching's fun too, but you definitely have to like sit and think about it in a different way, use a different part of your brain. Now that that's done, this is like the therapeutic part. Sitting here and kind of filling it in. Something about when the color goes onto the paper. Super relaxing for me. Hopefully you guys get that sense too. I have to say, you know what's been so cool? I've been looking around a lot online at different artists and different artist channel, and I have to say there's just some amazing stuff out there. I mean, it's like a whole community, and everyone's doing something different. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You think, oh, you know, artists, art channel, but everyone's got their own thing going on. It's so cool. It's so cool how people just find something they love and go with it. Stuff I'd never even think of. It's really inspiring. And the more I do this online, the more I kind of get a chance to interact with some of those people and, you know, see what inspires them and kind of have this little back and forth. It's super cool. If there's something you guys are really into specifically, I would love to hear about it. I've had a couple people reach out already with some really interesting ideas for future crafting sessions, and I'm definitely going to implement. Sailboat. We can do something with the sailboat. I mean, if you guys check out my channel, you know I'm quite into anything water related. Surfing and ocean, boating. There's so many cool things to do with that theme. Alright, good. Glad you're joining us. Get your sketch. We're not too far in. I've been talking about if there's anything you could take away at this point is to just start with your lighter shades, because you can always go back and fill it in, add the darker tones. It's harder to go the other way around, so whatever medium you're using, just go light, get those highlights in, those, I guess, the medium tones, and then kind of fill in the darker parts as you go. It's kind of what I'm doing up here. I'm giving the hair a little bit of texture, a little volume. And this is fun because it's kind of more cartoony than other stuff I've done, so you could be a little bit more playful with it. You could just see I'm progressively adding the darker grays and getting the shadows in there, shading, and it gives it that depth. I just have so much fun doing all things Halloween. You know, I'm gonna milk it each week of this month, so hope you don't have your fill yet. I'm still thinking about that Halloween costume though. Ugh. This is not necessarily a art channel question, but if you guys have any Halloween costume ideas, send them my way. I have a feeling it's going to be a last minute kind of come together thing. Well, that's good. Sometimes those are the best ones. Just a reminder, if you're unfamiliar, I do get the information up on my channel earlier in the week, and I try to let you guys know ahead of time what we're working on, what the supply list is, what drink, what cocktail we're going to be sipping on. So that way you have the option to kind of join in with me, or, you know, you can do your own thing too. That's always cool. But if you need ideas, I got you. So it's definitely subtle at first, but you can kind of see how these darker strokes kind of just give it a little bit more depth. Yes, I swear, I also thought that. We're going to see a lot of Hocus Pocus 2 stuff this year. Costumes, and I saw this really cool cheese board online. Someone made this Hocus Pocus cheese board that was just like, people think of such interesting ways to express, you know, whatever they're doing, or show their love for stuff. It was cool. That's something me and my sisters always wanted to do. We wanted to do a Hocus Pocus themed Halloween costume year. Now that it's coming back around, maybe we'll still get to it. Except we can't decide who's going to be who. It's been a little bit of a struggle. So it can be a little time consuming just working your way through your picture, but it's definitely worth it. The more detail you add, in my opinion, the better. Some people can just kind of like glide everything on the page at once, and it's definitely not me. Not my style. It will just not look good if I do it that way. So, you know, just kind of taking my time, working through it, adding it in layers. Oh, look at that. Thinking how quickly I get this done. All right, well, that's nice to hear. It doesn't feel that way to me. Sometimes I feel like I can drag stuff on a bit, but yeah, definitely all relative. That's what I'm saying. You just go at your own pace, take your time. Even if you're finishing it up after our session, that's cool. Just as long as you show me the final product. I love seeing what everyone works on afterwards. It's the best part. Plus, I feel like there's that kind of, like it makes you accountable. That's the word I'm looking for. Like when we're all working on it together, I don't know about you guys, but it makes me feel like, of course I have to get it done. I want to show everyone the final product. So even if it's not right at the end of the session, it's usually like right after the next day, but I like to show you guys how it comes out, so it helps keep me on track and make sure I get a lot of finished products, which is nice. Maybe it makes you guys feel the same way. And that's a good thing, right? Finishing what we started, that was the theme of our week last week. Can't tell you how hard it is not to turn this paper around like 180 degrees all the time. Keeping it in view of the camera. I'm usually like all over the place when I work. This might be my favorite and most nerve-wracking part. Is like going in and getting all the details on the face. So I kind of just tackle it slowly. It's the part that stands out the most. The eyes, the facial features, kind of makes or breaks the picture. You can kind of see, even though it looks a little loose, but you can see how I've kept the highlights in parts of the hair and the face, and then I'm going back and adding the depth with the shading. Let me know how your picture's coming along so far. Are you starting to see it come together? Are you getting a good range of lights and darks in there? I like working with the gray tone because it's a good reminder so that we know to really focus on lighting and shading. Sometimes it gets lost in the color, so the gray tone kind of like forces us to think about it more. Plus it's spooky for Halloween, so I'm into it. And if you guys have your micron pens or anything that's kind of similar, those, just like a dark ink pen, when you kind of outline it at the end, and it really pops. That's going to be your pop part at the very end when you're happy with your picture. Hopefully we'll get to it here, but if not, I'll show you guys the final result either way. That micron pen just makes it pop. You can always go back over, even if you've already filled in a part, kind of like I'm doing here. And just, you can always go back in and add more detail. Oh, I love that. Yes, that's exactly how I feel. SK writes, she's had to improvise with her supplies, but a challenge is an opportunity for creativity. At least that's what you're telling yourself. Oh, that's good. No, that's true. I don't always have everything on hand either, or I run out of things, or things dry up, or sometimes I just don't want to be held back when I'm in the middle of stuff, so it's definitely an opportunity to try something new, try something different. Maybe you end up, I don't know, find a cooler way of doing it, or use weird things that you wouldn't think of before, like I'm always throwing in that toothbrush. I saw something online also recently where there's an artist that just works in those blue ballpoint pens. I mean, and it makes amazing things. So, definitely your supplies do not limit you. Something I really love about mixed media, when people just kind of take all different things, supplies, but also random things around their house, or things you wouldn't necessarily think of as art supplies, and incorporate it into their work. That's always really cool. Speaking of improvising, I'm definitely improvising this bit here. I'm trying to think of how to do the highlights on this outfit and the coloring. I want it to kind of be like a shiny material. Just kind of see where it goes. I try whenever I can to look at what I'm working on. Like, it could be, you know, my own sketch, but I wanna look up, you know, I don't know, material or the pumpkin, all the different grooves. I don't always want to guess it. So like for the sketch, I definitely was using a lot of references. It's always good to use references. If you're working with a different material, or if you're trying to mimic something you haven't done before, the easiest way to do it is just look up a bunch of different examples and kind of get the idea of the lighting and how the light plays off things and how things look three-dimensional. Something I would love to get back to is what I used to do in art school when I was in Parsons. I did a lot of like quick art studies. It's like it would either be, looking at things in real life or looking at different artworks in museums and just sitting there with your pad and your paper. Your paper and your pen and just making quick sketches. It was such a helpful tool to, just improve. It was a really great tool for improvement. Worked on your confidence and your speed, and like I said, how it gives you a good framework for how lighting is on objects. I think I want to do more of that this year. Anyone can do it. You get a pad and pencil and sit outside and do a quick sketch of whatever you see. Maybe it's your dog. Maybe you got a lot of birds. There's this one tree by me that always blooms with these gorgeous yellow blossoms. And it's such a small time of the year that it's like that, and I always tell myself, oh, I just want to sit in front of it and sketch it out. And then all the blossoms fall before I get a chance. So this year I'm gonna make it happen. Maybe there's something you guys have been wanting to work on. Maybe taking this time every week will inspire you to go for it. Or again, if it's something you guys want to do here, let me know. We'll get to it. Even if it's something I'm not familiar with, I love trying out new things. Adding it to my art toolbox. Right now I'm working with the darkest gray in my gray tone set. It'll be rare that I use the black because it's definitely for the biggest pop. So you want to use it kind of sparingly. So at the end I'll go in and I'll grab that black marker, the black pen, and kind of just put in those extra darks. One of my favorite parts is deciding what kind of outfit she was going to get. I don't know if you caught it in my videos this week, but I had drawn her. She had something completely different on, and then I was like, nah. I just totally switched it up at the end. And I'm happy with what she's got now. It's kind of like this, it's going to be this like sexy little cat suit. It's going to be all shiny. She's got some long gloves on. It's going to be very, very Halloween appropriate. That's a fun idea. I got maybe dress up as that. Well, that would be an exciting Halloween costume. It would be like a fun excuse to buy something like that. Might not go with my children's costumes, but can do our own thing. What about you guys? You guys have any ideas yet for what you're gonna go as? Or am I asking too early? Do people not think about it this early? That could be. I mean, I start thinking about it in July, so maybe that's too early. But usually by like beginning of October, it's set. A lot of times I have to make different parts of my costume, so, you know, gotta give myself a little time. I definitely like to take little pauses as I'm working and just kind of like back up from my picture and kind of like assess it, make sure I'm happy with the direction I'm going, you know, kind of see if there's any blaring things I need to fix. I can get lost in working on something, and that was definitely a good piece of advice I had gotten in our class, was just to kind of step away from what you're working on. Even if it's just for like a short amount of time, just to take a backed up look from it. Kind of liking that idea now. It would almost give it like another level of being cool, because it would be dressing up as something, you know, Halloween-y, but also something out of a picture we made. That would be pretty neat. A walking advertisement. just kind of, like I said, making sure I leave room for those highlights. I can't really go in and use the white on the paper, so I'm just making sure I leave a space for that high shine on the outfit. And even though I said you can't go back and do the highlights as easily, you can use a white colored pencil or a white pen. I'm using one of those, those jelly pens we used to have. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't know, but I have it in my video, those little white, milky white ink pens. I like to use that for highlights in a lot of things. Exactly. 90s throwback. I just aged myself. Things get recycled though. I have to look up if they're in again. I have them in many, many different colors. Again, it's a slight difference, but now I'm going in and using the black marker, black pen. And even though it's like very similar to the dark gray, you can kind of see how it still stands out, and it's gonna dry with that difference, and it's gonna just look like it gives it more dimension instead of being like this flat image. So even if it looks kind of, similar, it matters. Those little variances are what give it that pop. even though I try to look at different things for reference, if I don't have the option to do that, if I'm kind of creating something from my mind, you know, I just try to put myself there and think about each part that I'm working on and how it crosses over something else or covers something up. Where's the light coming from? Kind of gives me an idea of where to put the shadows and the highlights. A lot of it's practice, of course, but visualization. And like I said, reference. There's nothing wrong with looking at something and seeing how it works and working from that. Guys, look at how it's coming together. I'm getting there. I mean, there's detail in this picture, so it's still gonna be a little bit, but I like seeing it come together. I hope you guys are seeing yours come together too. I'm using the fine pens for the details, really fine lines. Oh, also, I don't know if, I know you guys are using all different supplies, but one of the things I like about these markers and pens is that they come in different size tips. So that's always nice that you have that range of brush stroke or pen stroke. Really helps if you're going from super detailed to broad filling in. And you can kind of see like the strokes are part of it. You know, they make up the texture of the picture. Kind of give you that look of the strands in the hair. So it, you know, it matters. It can make it look one way or another, depending on how you're using the ink. I'm happy with the range she's got going on so far. You still got that pumpkin to fill in, that's gonna be fun. Now I'm gonna go and fill in the jack-o'-lantern. Same kind of concept, doesn't matter if it's a person or a pumpkin or, you know, an object, foliage, whatever. It's still, in this case, lights to darks. Always go in and add some shading. I know I say it every week, but guys, I really love this time we have together. I love sitting, looking forward to these Wednesdays, looking forward to the evening after the day is done. Got my supplies out. Halfway through the week, it's always challenging. I'm just getting to spend this time unwinding and creating something cool with you guys. I love it. Really brings me a lot of joy. I hope it brings you guys that kind of joyful feeling as well. That would make me really happy. And there are so many things that could kind of take away from that time. You could say, not this week, I'm busy. Or, I got a lot going on this week. Definitely next week. And this just takes that away. Nope. Every week I'm gonna sit, we're gonna sit together and make something cool. We're gonna have so many cool things in our repertoire, in our portfolio. So I really appreciate it. You guys definitely give me this. And I really love it. I really look forward to it. Plus, I'm really excited to try things I wouldn't normally do, or to work in different mediums I wouldn't usually go for. I mean, this is a good example for that. I use a lot of acrylics, you know, and this is a fun way to kind of get outside that box and work with something different. I got some cool recommendations for some maybe more like abstract crafts, some pattern-based stuff. Also, not really my norm, but would love to have this time to work on different things with you guys. Thank you. Yeah, it is coming together, right? I'm always kind of I'm always kind of pleased myself. I don't always know how it's going to turn out. So when it's starting to go in the direction of the vision I have in my head, it's always a pleasant thing. I hope you guys are feeling that way too. We got a chunk of time put into this already, so hopefully your guys' pictures or paintings or sketches or drawings are coming out really good. You guys are putting the time in, and hopefully you're getting something that looks nice and something you're starting to feel satisfied with. Or maybe it's just practice, right? Not everything has to be a finished product. Maybe this is just us hanging back, trying something different, getting some practice in. I think that's cool too. Again, it always helps me to think of what I'm doing in 3 dimensions, in real space. So I try to think, okay, her head is coming out of the hat. And it helps me visualize depth and where the light's going again. Just, same thing, but just reiterating. That visualization, it's really big for me. So maybe that will be helpful for you guys. Yeah, I know. So many shades. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's so cool to work with this grayscale. Because it takes away the whole element of color. Now you have to think in lights and darks, highlights and shadows. There's such a range there. Oh, thank you. I love reading the feedback in the chat. Thanks, guys. I hope yours is coming out nice too. I can't wait to see it at the end. It's, like I said, it's my favorite part. I love seeing what you guys work on. Oh, a specific reason why I tend to use acrylics versus another medium. That's a really good question. Honestly, I don't know that I've given it that much thought. I've definitely used a really wide variety of mediums. I mean, like I said, I went to Parsons, which was like a really amazing art school, and they just exposed me to so many different things. I've used like gouache and pastels, oils. We dabbled in digital art, colored pencils that you can do so much with. Actually, I use a lot of colored pencils. It sounds like almost like a kid kind of a thing, but there are some, like I use Prismacolors and they're amazing. The range and the blending you can get in colored pencils. But acrylic, I find you can do a lot with it, but it's still easy in the sense of like, I don't know, just I find it to be easier, I guess, is the only thing. I've used a lot, and that's just kind of the one I gravitate towards. I love oil paints. I was working in oil paint a lot, but that is very time consuming. You get a really good range, and your blending is really good with oil paint, but it just takes forever to dry, and you can't bump into it, and I'm bumping into stuff all the time, so I like acrylics. You can really do a lot with it. There's even acrylics that have texture already there, like, or you can add texture to it. There's so many supplies. You can just do a whole thing on supplies, which actually that might be a cool idea, right? To kind of do a little supply video, just kind of going over what everything is. But yeah, I just always kind of gravitate towards that, and I'll go through like phases where I'll use different mediums, but that's always one I come back to. And I feel like I have control over it. Okay, that's the last thing I'm gonna say. I've tried watercolor, and I gotta say, maybe I gotta give it more of a shot. Maybe that's something we'll do together. But I don't feel like I have enough control over watercolor. It's like this very beautiful, loose medium, and I don't know if I got the right hand for that. My grandmother does beautiful watercolors, so I should definitely give it another shot. Okay, definitely. I like that idea. Some I don't know about basic, but yeah, basic or anything you guys want. If you want a little bit more info on the supplies or the different mediums, I think that's a great idea. I can do a little video or a little explainer series about that. It's actually really, that's cool. So we'll get that going. And that way maybe you guys find something you guys love that's right for you. Maybe it's something you haven't tried yet. Maybe you guys are going to be the watercolor masters. It's another reason why I love this time with you guys. You know, the conversation, the flow of ideas. It's not something you can get on your own. You need that back and forth. So, another reason why I really appreciate you guys coming and spending this time with me. I know we've spent a chunk of time together so far, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Some things take time, you know. But if you're still with me, and that means you're putting in the work, you're getting those details in, it's going to look even better at the end. Something you can show off later. Friends and family say, look what I did. On our weekly craft session. I tell you, anytime I'm working on something or I finish something up, what's really cool is my kids are really into it. They just love seeing what I'm working on. They get really excited and they want to know the next thing I'm doing. I do a lot of stuff together with them. We work on paintings and crafts all the time together, and I like feeling like they've got that excitement about art or just being creative in general, even if it's a different kind of art that they're into. I just think it's really important. Especially when you're young and you've got that creativity flowing and, you know, you're at that imaginative stage. It's good to have that outlet. See, this is the good thing about starting lighter and going darker. You can, you know, change your mind and add on top of it. I realize, like, the jack-o'-lantern eyes, it's kind of, you know, they're cutouts and you're going into the hollow of the pumpkin, so I think it's going to look a little bit more sinister, accurate, with the darker shade, so I just go back and change my mind. Add on top of it. Don't be afraid to rework something or to change it up if you're in the middle of it. Art is very flexible. I think, like we talked about in previous sessions, even the mistakes are cool. Sometimes the mistakes end up being or taking you into a direction you wouldn't normally go. So even that could be like a little blessing in its own way. So never be afraid to kind of go for it. this idea was it was inspired by Inktober, which is like a, concept I've been coming across. People focus on pen and ink or different forms of ink work this month, which I thought was so cute. So I like that Inktober. Because I really never do things black and white or grayscale. I don't use ink pens a lot. I mean, I do here and there. I guess it depends on the situation. But it's just another way to try something new. Inktober. Now we're all going for it. These are ink markers, so I think they count, and the micron pens definitely count. And I'm going to use at the end to outline everything, so it's there. This part's fun, just inking in the cat. Just kind of making it almost like silhouetted. And everything doesn't have to be super detailed or hyper realistic. You can have some kind of playful elements like this in there where it's more of the idea of it. I've got the shape. You could tell what it is, of course. I'm going to go back and put little shading, but it's kind of more just the idea of it. Thank you. I appreciate the comments. It's cool, right? How it just comes, like I said, it comes together. You put time and just see it through. It starts getting more dimensional. That's cool. I can't wait to see what you guys do. It's really, what's the word I'm looking for? Just satisfying. It's late at night, sorry. It's really satisfying, right? I mean, that's how I feel when things are starting to come, like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, the pictures coming towards completion. It's very satisfying seeing it come together. Because like I said, I don't always know how it's going to turn out at the beginning. You know, I have an idea, but it definitely like flows as you go. Or it does for me anyway. Think you're done, and then you realize no, you can go deeper, you can go darker, you can give it more depth. That's why I like building. I like building the colors. So I just go back in and keep shading it till I get the right like depth I'm looking for. And everything you add just kind of gives it another layer of being like that much more finished. You know, so you could choose where you want to stop. But the more you add to it, more completed it looks. But again, there's all different kinds of styles. So maybe you got something looser going on. I would love to see that. It always ends up being beautiful. I mean, everything I've seen so far from what you guys have done and participated in our other craft sessions, they've always been, first of all, different than what I thought they would be, interesting, different takes on what we're doing, surprising in a good way. It's just the best part. I love seeing what everyone makes at the end. So just thinking where we were in the beginning, you know, just a really flat pencil sketch on the page, no shading, no nothing. We took away all the extra lines. Just thinking about that, and then seeing where we get to at the end as we go. It's really exciting. You're almost like surprising yourself when you see what you reach at the end. you know, because you're so focused on each part that you're doing. And then when you step back at the end, it's just as exciting for yourself. Like I said, I feel like the face kind of makes it for the picture. So getting everything filled in the face, get eyes put in, that's when it looks like it's coming together the most. So I'm just gonna go back and give it a little bit more depth. Like I said, you could just keep building. You know, the face has all these grooves and where it kind of, you know, tips in and pushes out. Using your pens to shade it in gives it that feeling of dimension. I did some really fun skeleton Halloween makeup one year. Oh, and I thought it just came out so cool. Better than what I thought it was going to be. Just, they have so many, I don't know, pictures online and tutorials and so much cool stuff you could do with it. Even if you're just getting like, I don't know, makeup from the drugstore, you know? And you can really do a lot with all the different palettes and stuff that they have out now. So anyway, this picture was a little bit inspired by that. I kind of took the idea of that skeleton Halloween makeup and kind of added it onto my character. I wasn't really thinking about it initially, and then I thought, oh, it's gonna give it just like another level of Halloween fun. I'm going to give myself a few more minutes because I know it's, you know, it's getting late, the witching hour. But we'll see what we can get done. Put in some more details in the next couple of minutes. It's already looking good, but you know, there's more to do. But we're going to get as much done as we can in the next couple minutes. I don't want to keep you guys too late. I feel like we went over a lot of good stuff. I'll finish up the really end details, and I'll make sure to show you guys the finished project right after. Well, that's a fun idea. Throwing this in with the other Halloween decor. Yeah, that's fun. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. We still got some time. In October, we got our decorations up. I think I will put this one out. You guys should do the same. Well, if you're working on a Halloween picture. If you're working on something similar. See, now I'm going in with that really fine micron pen. Super fine tip. It's like 0.005. And that's what you're gonna want for the really small detail. Just gives it like a little bit of extra definition. And then I like to use, you know, the larger tips of the micron pens for different things. So I use really fine, the fine micron pen for the tiny detail inside, and the face and the zipper and anything that's very small. And then as the numbers get larger of the micron pens, the tips get bigger, and I use it like almost as I'm going outward. So like the outer detail of the face, the shape will be a little bit thicker line, the hair, and then the thickest line, I save the thickest line for the outside, like the complete outside of the picture. And I'll frame the picture in like a 0.05 or 0.08 micron pen, and it just means it's like a thicker tip. So it kind of almost gives it like a comic book feel, like it outlines it, and it just gives it this neat look. You'll see as I go. But now I'm filling in the little skeleton teeth. I threw in some fangs in there. I had a really light sketch of it, so I'm just going over it now with that fine micron pen. And it's just really nice ink. And you can order them online too. You don't have to go out, or like I said, you could just even use like a good pen at home and do the outline. Now, like I said, it's just going back, and now that I got the big stuff done, I'm just putting in that fine detail. A little shading above the lip to, you know, to show the different surfaces there. I'm outlining kind of like skeleton face to make it look a little bit more dramatic. And I'm going back and filling in like small details like the eyebrow hair. Just sparsely, so it just has a little more definition. Alright, and like I said, even though there's a little bit more to do, I'm going to outline the exterior and just kind of go back in and do a little bit more shading with the micron pens. But this is basically going to be it. It's just going to have like a nice outline at the end. And, you know, maybe like a touch more detail, but it's getting late, so I think we're going to stop here. Hopefully you guys are happy with what you kind of created in this time we made for ourselves, and I'm excited to show you the full, complete version of this shortly. And that's it. I had such a good time. This was the best. I could get lost in this all night, so I won't do that to you. But thank you so much for coming. I had a great time, and I'll see you guys next week. And don't forget, send me what you worked on. I really want to see it. Okay? Send me a direct message and show me what you got. All right? I'll see you guys next week. Bye.